Today's focus is on the sentence, "Give us today our daily bread." I'm going to read a passage from Matthew 6, verses 25 to 33. "Therefore I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat or drink, or about your body, what you will wear. Is not life more important than food, and the body more important than clothes? Look at the birds of the air. They do not sow or reap or store away in barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not much more valuable than they? Can any one of you, by worrying, add a single hour to your life? And why do you worry about clothes? See the flowers of the field grow? They do not labour or spin. Yet I tell you, not even Solomon in all his splendour was dressed like one of these. If that is how God clothes the grass of the field, which is here today and tomorrow is thrown onto the fire, will he not much more clothe you, O you of little faith? So do not worry, saying, what shall we eat? What shall we drink? Or what shall we wear? The pagans run after these things, and your heavenly Father knows that you need them. Seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well." This is a passage that comes from Jesus' teaching about prayer, and his main thrust here is trust in God. Because God knows our needs, and he's going to provide for them. Now, we live in a land where we can feel very self-reliant. We can look after our own needs. It's also a land where we can start to lose track of what life is all about and begin to worry about our house, what it's like, what car we drive, how we're dressed. Those who live in poor countries don't have the luxury of choice that we have, and they can be much closer to God, knowing that they rely on him. A friend of ours once worked in a mission in South Africa, and one day after lunch, the cook came and said, "We haven't any food for tea. What will we do?" And our friend said, "We'll pray." So they did. Just before tea time, the cook came back and said, "There's still nothing to eat for tea. What do we do?" And our friend said, "Well, we've prayed. So we set the table and ring the dinner gong." And so they did. And as the people began emerging from their huts to go to the dining room, a car pulled up, and two ladies hopped out, and they said, "We have this large pot of soup. Could you use it?" They all had soup for tea. If we trust in God, he will provide. Not always talking about food. Another friend of mine rang one day quite distressed because she had a $2,000 legal bill and no money to pay it. And I said to her, "Well, talk to God, because it's a need, it's not a want." Well, she rang the next day absolutely excited. 2 years earlier, they'd advertised a cool room for sale in the local paper, but had no interest, so they stopped advertising and had sat in their yard for 2 years. And that day after she prayed, a man rang and said, "Just ringing on the off chance that you still have that cool room for sale? I'll give you $2,000 for it." Nothing is outside of God's care, and no detail is too small for him. He won't necessarily provide our wants, but he will provide our needs. Trust him daily for what you need. Give us today our daily bread.